I hate to say it, but Vegas isn't wrong. What's going on, guys? Welcome in to Clutch People TV. I hope you guys are having an amazing day or night. And today I'm going to be talking about an article that came out as Vegas has the Cavs and the New York Knicks being the worst teams in the NBA. I believe they had them at 22.5 wins. And I know there's going to be a lot of optimistic Knicks fans out there, but I think they hit it right on the head. I do not think the Knicks are going to be a good team this upcoming season. Yes, they may be competitive in games, but I don't think they'll be able to close out games. They're going to learn how to win towards the end of the season. You're going to see a different level of improvement. But 22 games doesn't sound as bad as you think. Yes, the Knicks are a rebuilding team and we're not great, and you're tired of us losing. I get it, but it's going to be a 72-game season, and this is going to be a young team. It's going to be like the Atlanta Hawks. We're not going to be the greatest, but we're going to get to see what the young players could do. But actually, I don't know if I could be very accurate on that statement because Tom Thibodeau is a guy that drafted Chris Dunn in the top 5 and only gave him like 15 minutes per game his rookie year. Like, unless he thinks Obi Toppin can make really an immediate impact, he won't start Obi Toppin. It really comes down to if Obi Toppin is the best player on the roster to help the team win, because he wants to put a winning product out there on the basketball court. He's a no-nonsense guy. He's going to play the guys that deserve to start at the end of the day, and David Fizdale was just the complete opposite of that. He just played young guys to play young guys, didn't hold them accountable, looked like an AAU team out there. And I get it, Knicks fans are optimistic. But I think 22.5 games or 22 wins is realistic for the New York Knicks. We're a young basketball team. Some people could say, I would even blame people that say this roster is worse than last year. It definitely did get younger. There's no one on this roster, I believe, that's 30 years old or older. We definitely don't have big-time veteran leadership on this team. If you take a look at Nerlens Noel, he's young. You have Quickly on this roster. You have Frank. You have Dennis Smith Jr. You have Obi Toppin, who's 23 years old. You have R.J. Barrett, Teo Penson. There's not very old players on this team whatsoever. It's a very young basketball team, and they don't know how to win games yet. They're going to figure it out throughout the season, and Tom Thibodeau's really going to help them out along the way and mature their games. But in my opinion, the guy that's only been the true winner on this team, in my opinion, is a guy like Alec Burks. He's been a part of winning basketball teams. He was in the playoffs with the Philadelphia 76ers, and he's a very consistent player. But there's no one on this team that's going to help us win 30 games. There's not a player that, unless RJ Barrett breaks out, it's going to be a totally different story. But it might be baby steps to RJ. RJ may not go out there and average 20 points per game. That's what we hope. But if he doesn't take that big leap, I really do think it's possible to win 22 games. And even when Porzingis had that leap, we weren't great. Yes, he got injured. A lot of people were saying we would have won more games if Kristaps didn't get injured. But actually, when Tim Hardaway Jr. went down, if you guys remember that, Tim Hardaway Jr. was playing great alongside KP, and then we started losing games when Tim Hardaway Jr. went down, and it was just even worse when Porzingis went down. But just having one-star players is going to help you win basketball games. You saw DeMarcus Cousins with the Kings. You saw Anthony Davis with the Pelicans. At the end of the day, but we're going to be going through these NBA teams, and I'm going to be going through all of these and thinking, are we really the worst team in the NBA? Are we worse than the Cleveland Cavaliers? Are we better than them? But first off, Los Angeles Lakers, we know Los Angeles Lakers, not much to talk about. They're a championship contending team. Celtics, not going to talk about that. The Warriors, they were the worst team last year, but you have to remember they're really banged up with injuries. They have Curry back, Klay Thompson. Well, Klay Thompson's hurt, which just sucks. It's still not going to really register in my mind that he got hurt again because I love Klay Thompson. He has the most pure shooting stroke I've ever seen. It's just so amazing watching Klay Thompson play. But they have Draymond Green. They drafted James Wiseman. The Raptors, they're going to compete. The Heat are going to compete. The Clippers, the Bucks, the 76ers, the New York Knicks, we'll see. The Houston Rockets, I still think they'll be competitive. They're still going to have James Harden, in my opinion, this upcoming season. The Dallas Mavericks, we know even if Porzingis is hurt, Luka's still going to make that team very competitive, in my opinion. The Chicago Bulls are a very interesting team. Do I think Kobe White's their point guard of the future? No, I think he's more of a 2. He's more of a pure shooter of the basketball. I don't trust his playmaking skills, and he's kind of like this microwave type of scorer. And I think it's really going to be interesting what they go on to do with their team, the Chicago Bulls. Patrick Williams pick, I thought that got just so much hate. It's crazy. First off, this isn't a very powerful draft, and this is the type of draft that you can take risks on. you could take risks on certain players because no one's a sold product in this draft whatsoever. And I really do like Patrick Williams' upside. And if it wasn't for the season being cut short due to COVID, I think it wouldn't have been a surprise he went top 5. And he was raising up boards. Oklahoma City Thunder, they're rebuilding, but I think they have some nice pieces that are going to keep them competitive. Not sure if they'll make the playoffs, though. The Spurs, as long as they have Greg Popovich, they'll compete. The Phoenix Suns, they just added Chris Paul, and you saw what Monty Williams did with that team, continuing to get better. The Nuggets, the Hornets got Gordon Hayward, so that's going to help them win basketball games, but they're going to have to learn with some of the young players on that team with P.J. Washington, Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is definitely a big X factor. The Trailblazers, as long as they have Lillard, they're going to compete. The Nets with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. The Pelicans, they hope, bringing back Brandon Ingram on that max deal as well. I think they're going to be a very interesting team as well. I like the Kyrie Lewis Jr. pick. I think that's going to be amazing in transition in the future. I really like what they're doing. They still have Lonzo there, so it's going to be a very interesting situation what the Pelicans go on to do. Like, I'm really interested to see how Zion's going to pan out, and obviously he has all the ability in the world. I think he has the right head on his shoulders, but with Eric Bledsoe over there, they have a lot of guards now. The Timberwolves, we know they're going to compete. They just got Anthony Edwards. They have D'Angelo Russell, Karl-Anthony Towns. They're a win-now mode basketball team. The Jazz, they still have Rudy Gobert, one of the best rim protectors. Just gave Donovan Mitchell that big-time contract. And then you take a look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. You can make the debate they're better. In my opinion, they don't have a direction. You could say every other NBA team has like a direction of they're committed to the rebuild, but the Cleveland Cavaliers, yes, they have Darius Garland, they have Colin Sexton, they just drafted Isaac Okoro, who I thought was a great pick by the Cavs. I thought they were going to draft Obi Toppin, but I thought Okoro was the smart pick. Toppin would have been the box office sell tickets. Since LeBron left, they've been kind of struggling with the ticket sales, and if they got Obi Toppin, I just thought it would have been big time box office. He's so much fun to watch. But Okoro was the safe and right pick. Kevin Porter Jr. getting in trouble. We don't know if he's going to be their full time starter, but I love how Okoro gets after it defensively. I think he's a high upside. He's a very mentally tough player. Very good athlete, underrated passer. He's one of the best pure basketball players. He knows how to play the game the right way. That's what I absolutely love about Isaac Okoro, and I think he has some ability in catch and shoot situations. But they have Andre Drummond there. So I'm like, what direction are they moving in? And they still have Kevin Love on that contract. So having Kevin Love and Andre Drummond are going to help you win basketball games at the end of the day. And I think Okoro battling defensively is going to help as well. We don't have, yes, Kevin Love has a big contract, but he's still a solid player. He's going to help you win basketball games. Same thing with Andre Drummond. We don't have that big-time guy. We're a very youthful basketball team that's going to try to win. We're going to compete, but we're going to learn how to win towards the end of the season. The Detroit Pistons are actually a team I was surprised we weren't tied with, because the Pistons, I actually do get it when I'm starting to think about it, though, unless a team like the Sixers trade for Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is a win-now mode basketball player. Blake Griffin, I thought they were moving in the right direction in the rebuild. And then, I thought it was a nice pick with Killian. I like the Sadiq Bey. They ended up trading and getting Isaiah Stewart. But then you have Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose there. Are they going to compete for that 8th seed one more time? Or are they going to really just try to trade them and just see if this young team can improve throughout the season like the Atlanta Hawks did, and then add the veterans next year and then win now and that type of thing? But you have to give Killian a couple of years. Suku, young project type of players. But I'm just not a big fan of what the Pistons went on to do. I like Jeremy Grant. You could say he deserved the money because of the season he came off of, but he's not a number one option. I think he really went there for the opportunity, but he's a guy that plays good off the ball, can't create his own shot, but he's good on both ends of the floor. High energy type guy, but is he worth $61 million? They let Christian Wood go. You could say at the end of the day, maybe he was a small sample size guy, and he didn't probably want to play for that team. I think they had the money and offered him a contract, but was it the right move? And then getting Plumlee on that deal as well, $23 million. I think they could have got him on day 2 or day 3 of free agency. But the Pistons aren't a great team. They're not going to win a lot of games. The Hawks were a bad team last year, but they added some veterans of Rondo, who could probably help Trae Young on defense. The technique-wise, I think if you have the effort and you have the right technique, you could be a solid defender in the NBA. But the Atlanta Hawks, adding Gallinari, getting Bogdanovich, now they're going to be an interesting team. The Kings, in my opinion, they're not going to be on the Knicks level. The Indiana Pacers are going to be somewhat competitive as well. The Wizards, John Wall, Bradley Beal back, that's not going to be the worst team in the NBA, even if John Wall isn't at full strength. I like Rui Hachimura. Deni Avdija I thought was good value. The Orlando Magic, they're always in the 8th, 9th seed range. And then the Grizzlies are an up-and-coming team. So this video is not hitting on the Knicks whatsoever. I just don't think they're ready to compete. They're a very young basketball team. And I'm a guy that believes if you're going to lose, because I don't think this is going to be a winning season, you give the young guys an opportunity. Unless they don't earn it, and I don't think they're the best players on the roster, I won't play them. But in my opinion, when he takes Obi Toppin, he's not a project. He's not a puppy dog like Frank, Kevin Knox, RJ. RJ was taking the top 3, so it's a different story. But he's going to be 23 years old in March. You got to play the guy. And I think he's the best player at the 4. Well, you could say Julius Randle's more experienced, so I kind of take that back. But if Julius Randle's still on the roster, I really do believe Tom Thibodeau will play him. And I know Tom Thibodeau will play the best players that give him an opportunity to win. And we'll see if that's Obi or Julius Randle. But it's going to be an interesting situation. Let me know down below your thoughts and analysis. Are the Knicks the worst team in the NBA? And as always, guys, have a humble day or night. Peace out, y'all.